Hey guys, as we get going in our next unit, it's important to remember what we've learned about right triangles. So we will begin with the Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem says that in a right triangle, the sum of the legs, the squares of the legs, is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So the legs are x and 6. So x squared plus 6 squared is equal to 16 squared. So to solve for x, we can subtract 6 squared from both sides. So we have 16 squared minus 6 squared, and that is 220. Okay, so we have x squared is 220, and to get that squared out of there, we take a square root of both sides. And 220 is not a square number, so we'll do a factor tree. That's 22 times 10. 22 is 11 times 2, and 10 is 2 times 5, and there is a pair of 2's. So we've got a pair of 2's, that's going to come outside, so x equals 2 times the square root of, and then 11 and 5 will stay inside, so 11 times 5. So x is 2 times the square root of 55. Okay, now we're just going to go down this left column here to number 3. So the legs are 3 and the square root of 7. So we have 3 squared plus the square root of 7 squared equals the hypotenuse, x squared. Okay, so 3 squared is 9. The square root of 7 squared and square root just cancel each other out, and that is 7. And 9 plus 7 is 16. So we take the square root of both sides, and the square root of 16 is 4. 16 is a square number. We get a whole number here. So the hypotenuse is 4. Okay, continuing down that left column, state if each triangle is acute, obtuse, or right. Okay, so if there's a right angle, it's going to be right here. So we'll count these as what would be the legs. So we've got the square root of 157 squared plus 9 squared. And we want to know if that equals the square root of 257 squared. Okay, so 157, the square root of 157 squared is 157. And 9 squared is 81, and 157 plus 81 is 238, so we have 238, and the square root of 257 squared is 257, so no, they're not equal, so it's not right. 238 is less than 257, and what that means is this triangle is obtuse. If a squared plus b squared is less than c squared, the triangle is obtuse. Okay, number 7, we have a right angle possibly right here. So I'll count these as what would be the legs. So there's 6 squared plus the square root of 97 squared. And I will compare that to the square root of 197 squared. Okay, so I have 36 plus 97, and the square root of 197 squared is 197. 36 plus 97 is 133. So we have 133 compared to 197. 133 is less than 197, so once again we have an obtuse triangle. If a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, the triangle is right. If a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, the triangle is acute.